So the reason why I introduced this is for the fact that many people nowadays we don't talk about issues. For example, in Malawi, many topics are disregarded. So I thought it wise, and I called this "talking the talk" because it's not only about today's topic that we're going to be talking about. It's going to be a lot of topics that most people maybe disregard or whatsoever. Yeah, so maybe to start with, we need to start with introductions, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe to introduce the reason why we are here.
So my name is Georgina Kanyanda. I run a blog called Let's Talk Mental Health, and today we're going to be discussing depression and suicide. I'll also throw in a disclaimer because it can be a very sensitive topic to some. It may be triggering and it may make you feel some type of way. So just to let you know, this is a safe space. If you feel uncomfortable, that's okay. This is a sensitive topic and it's understandable.
All right. I know you mostly because of your blog on WordPress, whereby you call it Let's Talk Mental Health. I've been following your articles, but the one that got my attention was about depression. Many people are dying, honestly. Now we're talking about COVID-19, we talk about other diseases killing people, but this is the thing that most people don't talk about. So I thought, wise, how about we have you and we talk about this issue, which is known as depression. Yeah, so I'm going to ask you some questions, and if time allow, we'll go through your article about depression, and I'll also ask some questions because there are things I read, of course, but I didn't understand. So I want to hear from your own perspective.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe many people, they just hear like, okay, people say depression, I'm depressed. What is it about depression? What is depression?
Depression, right? I'll start off like this. It's normal for people to feel depressed when they're feeling that they're under a lot of pressure or maybe there's too much going on in life. It's a normal feeling. It becomes problematic when you feel that consistently, even when your circumstances are better. If it starts to affect the way you live, then it becomes a problem. So when you speak of depression as the actual illness, I read it said, depression is classified as a mood disorder. It may be described as feelings of sadness, loss, anger that interfere with a person's everyday activities. So it's, in summary, a cluster of negative emotions that a person experiences consistently over time.
You have talked about mental disorder, if I heard you right. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Maybe how does depression start?
Well, there's no actual cause for depression, but there are different reasons that could trigger it.
Yeah.
So there are two views that we take in psychology. There's the nature versus nurture. Nature looks at the way you're born. It would basically say that the way your brain is structured is what causes you to have more, depression because of the way it functions, the way hormones are fired and things like that. When it comes to nature, you could say that circumstances could trigger it. Like, let's say maybe you went through a traumatic event, or maybe you've been experiencing a ton of stress for a long period of time. There can be triggering circumstances that make it come to be.
Oh, okay.
So there's no definitive way that it starts, there's no definitive cause, but there are different reasons and attributes that may bring it out.
Yeah. Maybe just to bring this on the ground, I had a friend of which I told you about. Like, I just lost a friend maybe last week. He was a musician, and because of what I do, the last thing we talked about was him was supposed to come in Branta and we shoot a music video. That's the last conversation we had. Then after maybe 2 or 3 weeks, we haven't been talking. Then this other day I was checking on people's statuses on WhatsApp. Then I came across this post which said RIP this. So I was shocked. Like, honestly, I was shocked because the person was okay. He has never complained that he was sick and something like that. So when I tried to ask people what happened, it's the same issue about depression. They say he was kind of depressed. he attempted suicide at first hand, but the parents rescued him. So this time he never got away. He found out they found him dead. So I was like, this thing is real. We need to talk about this. So maybe looking at that, is there any maybe consequences about depression?
Consequences how?
Okay, for example, you've talked about maybe a person, because I understand the person who is depressed maybe likes to be alone sometimes. I don't know. What are the consequences of that?
Oh, okay. So depression.
Yes.
Usually people with depression they tend to self-isolate. Sometimes they get into negative behaviors.
Yeah.
It's even article. So they become withdrawn. People with depression have often reported feeling emotional numbness, like they can't feel feelings of joy or happiness, things like that. So those are usually the red flags that pop up when somebody is depressed.
Okay.
Oh, and suicidal thoughts. That's also a predominant feature of depression.
Okay. Just to jump to, I may call this like a conclusion, but then how can we deal with this depression? Is there a way on how we can deal with depression? Because I understand it can happen to anyone. It can happen to me, can happen to you or anyone else.
Well, my first thing would be, if you are feeling depression, if you feel like you do have the symptoms, the most important thing is to talk to an actual professional. Those people have all the tools that you could possibly need to help you.
Yeah.
And then if it's a different situation where maybe you're a friend who's trying to help somebody with depression, just be there to support them. Do not go and say, why are you trying to commit suicide? Why are you being suicidal? Things like that. Do not attack them because it makes them feel worse. People who are depressed need to know that, they have friends, they have somebody that they can depend on, that they have a sense of hope, that, they have a structure around them that allows them to express themselves freely. So if you're a friend trying to help somebody with depression, be a good listener, be supportive, and don't attack them. Because depression is a very serious thing. It's not an easy thing to deal with. A lot of people with this would wish they would switch off that kind of thing. It's not as easy as I feel depressed now and I'll get over it in 5 minutes. So it's also important to just do your own research and understand. And if you're a person with depression, don't keep it to yourself. Find people you can trust, that you can confide in about certain things, especially things that really bother you and that really hurt you. So you find some sort of outlet for all the stressors in your life.
Yeah, because I was about to go to that, the point which you have just raised, that you need to find people you can trust. Now, the question on that, I think, can be, how sure can we know that a person who is depressed, or how sure can a person who is depressed talk to someone else? Because we don't know, these people, they have no one to talk to. Can they trust these people?
It goes back to the same thing of talk to a professional.
Yeah.
I know that in certain circumstances, you may not have people you trust. Maybe you suffered from betrayal or people taking advantage of you when you try to express yourselves. So that's why I say talk to a professional. We have counselors and we have psychologists. Those people you can definitely trust. It is an oath for us. We cannot take your information and show it to the world. We cannot betray your trust. And it's very safe. It's a very safe space.
Yeah. So going through the internet, I found this quote, of which I just wanted to hear your view on this, because I think it has some hidden meaning. It reads, "There are wounds that never show on the body, that are deeper and more hateful than anything that bleeds." How do you understand by that quote? By Lorraine K. Hamilton.
Emotional wounds are harder to heal than physical wounds.
Okay.
Physical wounds, when you get an injury, like let's say you get a cut, your body naturally fixes the cut and you have medication to help that cut, right?
Yeah.
But when dealing with emotional wounds, it's not something that your body automatically does on your behalf. Yeah. Emotional wounds are things that you have to sift through on your own, in a way. Okay. It takes choices and hardships to actually fix those wounds that you have on the inside.
Yeah.
Yes, we have resources, we have the psychologists, we have coping mechanisms, we have all these different things that we can do. but it's an arduous process to heal emotional wounds in comparison to physical one.
Okay. Thank you. Now let's quickly go to your articles. First of all, I want to commend for what you are doing. Honestly, like I say, we have Malawians that don't talk about things, but I just want to commend you for coming out open and talking about this and coming that Let's Talk Mental Health blog. So I just want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
Now, your article, Depression. The title reads, Depression, Life in a Dark Place. Explained by that. What do you mean?
I'll answer your question for question. When you think depression, what do you think of? What's the first thing that pops up in your mind?
For me, maybe is worry.
And that's a dark thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and I said the dark place, it means it goes back to the negative emotions, feeling like it's a dark place. You're not happy.
Yeah.
You're not content. You don't have pleasure in anything. You're in a bad space. You're worrying. It's a dark place when you're feeling all those negative emotions all the time. So that's where that part of the title came from.
Okay. Now, you start your article with references all the people who have died of depression. Yeah. So the same thing is we have these people living among us, maybe in our schools, in our families. They're depressed. They're depressed. We don't know. Now, I like the way you study. You say you give a reference to the people who have died because of depression.
And some who still live with it, yeah.
Yeah. I just want to read the first paragraph. Then I think I'll ask you a question on that, because I want to go paragraph by paragraph so that we understand, so that also put some sense in the people who will be watching this.
Sure.
Okay, you say no one is a stranger to the word depression these days. Okay, no one is a stranger to the word depression these days. Oh, sorry. No one is a stranger to the word depression these days. Many famous people have suffered from this condition, namely Kid Cudi, Billie Eilish, and many others. The impression I get from its media portrayal is that it's just being sad. Yes, that is a major part of it, but there is a lot more to it than that. As much as it is spoken of, do we really understand what depression is really about? Okay, now you talked, it's the same issue about being sad. So my question is, here we're talking about depression, and we comes in a situation where we are sad. So should we say that every situation that makes you sad is called depression?
No.
How can it differentiate between these two? Where you are sad because of depression and sad like the normal?
Being sad is a normal emotion. Being depressed is another emotion that includes sadness. Okay. Having depression is feeling all those emotions for a prolonged period of time without any control. Now, this paragraph in particular, I wrote it that way because I noticed it became a trend to say that I'm depressed. If you go on Instagram,
yes,
exactly, all these images and they say, yeah, I'm depressed. It's okay to admit that you're depressed, but being depressed and having depression are two different things. And I think that line is what was getting blurred on social media.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know about that. Because the same applies to me. When I'm sad, I say I'm depressed. So it's the same issue.
Depressed is normal. It's just that depression is being depressed excessively to the point where it affects your life, how you live, whether or not you enjoy what you do.
Yeah. People
who suffer from severe depression tend to lose hope. It's like, what's the point of me being here? There's no reason for me to be here. Exactly. It's a very severe thing.
Yeah.
Emotions are part of who we are. That's perfectly normal. It's just problematic when it's prolonged and it starts to affect every aspect of your life and how you function.
Okay. Now the second paragraph reads, I'm sorry, I'm not, I'm new to these other terms, so you'll forgive me that if I kind of pronounce it wrong. Okay. Across the board, there are various depressive disorders, which include premenstrual dysphoric disorder, if that's it.
Dysphoric disorder,
Okay,
yes.
okay, dysphoric disorder and substance-induced depressive disorder. However, today will be okay. You talked about this depressive disorder called major depressive disorder, which you call it MDD. What's that?
That's basically when you say depression.
Yes.
If you're talking about depression in general, we usually look at major depressive disorder.
Okay.
That's what it's really called, I guess, if I put it that way.
Yeah.
Because here I said there are various depressive disorders. There's a whole spectrum in a lot of things, but I wanted to relate some of the disorders that are related to depression.
Yeah.
But one major one, when somebody says I suffer from depression, the major one that they're talking about is often major depressive disorder.
Okay. Which again, you talked about the same thing, which we talked about sadness and also loss of interest. I understand loss of interest that's where it leads to suicide, right?
Yeah, but loss of interest comes with a sense of hopelessness, if I may say. So that hopelessness is actually what contributes to the whole feeling of suicide. If you feel like there's no reason for you to live or there's nothing for you to contribute to the world, it adds on to that feeling of being suicidal.
And your symptoms were as far as depressed mood for most of the day, that's nearly every day, little pleasure in almost all activities, significant weight loss that isn't caused by dieting, and or a fluctuating appetite. Let's talk about this weight loss.
People with depression, if it gets bad, usually don't eat. It's either you forget to eat or you just don't eat at all. So that's where the weight loss comes in.
Okay. Another one, you say difficulty with thinking or concentrating, suicidal thoughts and meditations of suicidal acts. That's the crucial part. Suicidal thoughts. It's sad, and I wish we talk about these issues every day because it's happening every day. People are committing suicide every day because of depression. So I don't think if we have people like you, we should still be losing people. I think this is the issue that we really need to put much effort on and talk about it. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, as much as I'm talking about it, there aren't enough of us who are talking about it.
Yes.
I'm trying to start the conversations. I'm trying to encourage other psychologists like myself or people who are passionate about mental health to talk about it. Because we don't talk about it as much, a lot of people wind up losing their lives simply because they didn't know.
Yes.
So we need more people to talk about it. We need more people to become more outspoken about these different mental disorders, just to help other people understand what it is and to at least make a platform where people who have different mental illnesses can just come forth and, try and delve into it and understand it and, express themselves so that they don't feel like they're alone in the struggles that they have.
Yeah, that's true. But the problem, I don't know how we can rally these people to come in and talk about these issues. Because they are there, they're seeing the things that's happening, but I don't know.
Well, a way to rally people is by talking about it. Like right now, we're having this interview. We're discussing this thing. So the people who hear this may want to actually have conversations about it. So simply by us talking about it and having people listen in, that's one way of encouraging others to talk about it.
Then we come to the steps you can take when coping with depression. I just wanted to look at this point. You said meditation. How can a person who is depressed meditate? Because I find that hard to. Okay, for me, I'm depressed and I should be able to meditate. How?
So meditation, the different meditation methods that work around mindfulness, physical awareness, and mental orientation. So let's say you're going through, maybe you're unemployed and you're finding a hard time finding jobs and you're feeling like, I'll never get a job, I'll never do anything like that. What meditation does is it helps you control these thoughts and orient them towards what you're aiming for. So since your problem is being unemployed, you try orienting your mind towards being, okay, I'm not employed now, but I will get employed. I have the facilities that I need. I have my degree or whatever certification that you have, and just focus on that. It's like turning from negative to positive to a controlled space. I won't say that meditation is very effective. It's effective under certain circumstances. For extreme depression, it may help a little bit, but of course there are other things that you can use to help as well.
Okay. I just want to jump to another title, just the title only, of one of your articles. You said, the one you said, kids are, okay, let me just...
All the kids are depressed?
Yes. Yes, all the kids are depressed. Are all the kids depressed?
It goes back to the same thing I talked about, like how social media and everybody saying, I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I'm depressed.
Yeah. It's not a big deal that kids are really depressed.
I've noticed that a lot of Gen Zs and a couple of millennials tend to display a lot of depression. I don't know if it's the case because we're more outspoken about it now and we're more aware. So you have people reporting in, or if there's an actual difference in the rate of depression between this generation and past generations. So that title was encouraged by social media, but also questioning what's causing Gen Z to display depression more than older generations.
Because I wanted to ask a question relating to that. Like, when you say all the kids are depressed, at what stage depression happen to a person?
It can happen at any point. You can find a 5-year-old or a 12-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 40-year-old.
I mean, the same thoughts of suicide, does they haunt kids as well?
Yeah. Sometimes that can be the case for children. Sometimes even they have suicidal thoughts.
Okay. Now, but the bottom line here is, I'll still stick to talking about these issues because for me, these deaths that just happened recently about depression really hit me, and maybe I've been depressed as well. I don't know. But they hit me because I was shocked. So I felt that we have to talk about this more often. Yeah, that's why this may be part one. We'll see if we get more reactions from this video. Maybe we can have audience to ask questions, and
that would be great. It would be great to have further commentary and more conversations about it.
Yeah, true. You being a psychologist, right? How many people with this issue of depression have reached out to you?
I don't think I can have a number because I do have a number of friends who have depression.
Yeah.
I have some who have attempted to commit suicide. I have numbers who have lost friends to suicide.
Yeah.
So depression is something that I'm not a stranger to. Depression is something that I've seen around me with a lot of people. So I try my best to, be a relay point, be somebody that people can confide in. Because I just really want to help people at the end of the day. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
So many people suffer from this, and it's made worse because of the pandemic. You're not now, you have this condition, now you're stressing about a pandemic that's killing people, and you're being forced to be isolated, which isn't healthy as well, because you need social interaction, you need to communicate, do stuff, right? So people with mental health conditions have been in such a space that it just makes it worse.
Yeah.
So that's how I've been seeing a lot more cases have been popping up since 2020.
All right.
I love it.
Okay. Maybe what's your future what's your vision about the Let's Talk Mental Health?
I really want to grow it. This is something that I want to dedicate myself to. Because as much as it's like a blog now, I want it to be like proper business. I want it to be a proper structure,
Yeah.
and I wanted to continue helping people in the long run. So I really wanted to grow and to just expand and be more inclusive and more diverse. And I just want more people to tune into it because it's really on my heart for people to know about mental health and how important it really is, especially coming from a country where it's not taken seriously at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't tell you how many times people have come to me and said, I told them I have this condition, but they're like, no, just get over it. What is that? What is nothing? You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Simply because people aren't aware. So you can imagine that what if there was awareness? What if people actually knew how to deal with these things?
Yeah.
How many lives could we save?
Yeah.
So that's what I really want this page to do, just to expand and to grow, to continue to spread awareness and just to help communities and help people understand that this is real and that this is really significant.
All right. Thanks so much, Georgina, for coming and talking about depression. I felt it wise, like I said before, and I'm not going to stop saying it because, yes, we need to talk about this. And I wish we have these conversations more often with you because you are a professional at these things. Like I say, I wish this video will get more reactions so that maybe we have more people to come in and be able to ask questions or whatever. Maybe
over time, we'll get some interaction.
Yeah, maybe any last words? I don't know.
I'd say do follow the blog. I'm also on social media. Let's Talk Mental Health Africa, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Do feel free to comment below. Share us your views about the discussion that we have, and feel free to ask any questions. I'm always open-minded to have these conversations because, as I expressed earlier, I'm very passionate about this, and it would be awesome to get some more interaction.
Yeah, I think it would be better if we put the links so that people may be able to click, more especially on your articles about depression as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely post some links for that.
All right. It was nice having you. Have a nice day.
Same to you.
Yeah, thanks.